All right, elevator talks. Topic one. So I would like to talk about the virtual autopsy. So as we know, autopsies are fairly common anymore, especially if you watch any sort of crime show. So they are used by modern scientists and doctors to determine either a cause of death or the extent of a disease in a person after they have passed. So modern medical records can help provide some insight if you're the one conducting this autopsy, but again, that's going to depend on the person's health overall. Did they go to the doctor regularly, and were those records accurate? Um, so when it comes to Egyptology and studying mummies from around the world, we don't really do full invasive autopsies anymore. It's not considered ethical. We don't want to disturb a whole bunch of different tissue and linens. We could actually cause further problems. So, but we still want to know what happened to that mummy. How are they mummified? Why were they mummified that way? Did they have any conditions in life that may have been treated or not? Why did they why did they die essentially? So that's where the virtual autopsy comes in. So essentially, we are using current medical technology like CTs, X-rays, things like that to look inside of the mummy without actually disturbing the outside wrappings. This can also show us anything that's inside the wrappings, like amulets or other trinkets they may have been buried with. So X-rays on mummies have been used for well over a century at this point. So they can be used very commonly, and they're very easy to use, but they do lack depth and characteristics to their images. You can see a couple of examples here of X-ray images. This is because of superimposition. So essentially we're compressing a 3D structure, an image of a 3D structure into a 2D image, and that kind of distorts things a little bit. It's not a perfect thing. I mean, diagnostically, if you're living and breathing, it's going to give you at least some clue what's going on, but it's not the best. So with CT scans, we're using X-ray technology and adding computer software and a moving detector to that. We're collecting more images at different angles, up to 360-degree angles, and we're collecting lots of different images in rapid succession, and then we are stacking them on top of each other and analyzing them with a computer. It is a much more thorough image, and we get a lot more information from it. So it is no way possible to talk about all the different things I have found from X-rays and CTs and other virtual autopsy methods in less than 5 minutes. So I'm just going to highlight one anthropogenic mummy and one natural mummy that they have found that are really cool. So the first one is this Gabellian man that the British Museum did a CT scan on in 2012. He's a naturally preserved mummy. He is about 5,000 years old from pre-dynastic Egypt. And looking on the outside of him, you wouldn't see much going on until that would give away what his cause of death was. But from that CT, they figured out it was probably a stab wound from behind because it actually fractured his clavicle and went through a rib and into the chest cavity. And they were able to figure out he's young and strong, very muscular. So this may have been a murder. Obviously, we can't say for sure because it happened 5,000 years ago, but this is a very strong indicator. So they would not have known that without the CT or the virtual autopsy. And the other one that's really fascinating to look at is this is an anthropogenic mummy, meaning they personally preserved her. And we know it's a her because we found out she was pregnant and well along into that pregnancy when she was mummified. This is one of the only known mummified persons cases that we have found. And this particular mummy underwent X-ray and CT images. You can see examples of both of them here. You can see how much more lifelike and detailed the CT images are versus an X-ray. So you can see a mass down here in the X-ray, but you can't really tell much about it. The CT was able to reveal it was a fetus, where in the gestation that fetus was, and everything, some other really cool details about the sarcophagus and the wrappings. So virtual autopsies, most of us are not going to study Egyptology in our lives and the general public. So why do they care? Well, fundamentally, we can learn a whole lot about the human condition. So it's by doing these virtual autopsies, we can learn more about human history, paleopathology, how people took care of themselves during life and even death in the ancient world. And also just by practicing with these techniques, we can also have better care for modern clinical patients. And it's just a great way to understand history. So the virtual autopsy is a fantastic way to learn more about history. And it's a really cool way to peek inside of mummies. And here are my sources. Thank you.